And for more on Trump's looming deadline to pay that near $500 million bond is his New York fraud case. Let's bring in former Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee. Governor, welcome back to the show.
Well, great to be back. Thank you.
So Trump's facing that Monday deadline, as we've been talking about. What's your advice to him and his team, sir?
Well, they got to continue the appeal, but I think the most outrageous thing of all of this is, where's the victim? Who is it that's been harmed? Donald Trump took out a loan. It was a normal business practice. Everybody got paid back. The bank that made the loan did their own due diligence. They were fine with it. They even went to court and said there was nothing here that we're upset with. So why is it that Letitia James, who made the announcement she was going after Trump before she even got elected, think about that. How vicious is it for a person to run on the campaign promise, I'm going after someone for political reasons, and I'm going to do it before I even know what the crime is? Here's the irony. Donald Trump has been in business in New York for well over 55 years. And really, for over 50 years, this is a person who was the toast of the town. People appreciated what his business deals did for the city of New York, the people it employed, the money that was made by everybody involved. All of a sudden, he goes down that escalator, and now he's worse than Al Capone, and everybody goes after him. What's going on here? But here's the ultimate problem, I think, for New York and for the people on the far left who have lost their minds. What does this do to business in New York? Would anyone want to domicile a business in a state that says you carry out normal business practices, and if we don't like your politics, we're going to bankrupt you and we're going to take over your properties? This is insanity played out to the nth degree.
So Mr. Trump's balancing act, it's not an easy one. He's trying to court votes as a Republican presumptive nominee. I mean, he is the nominee, and of course his legal troubles. What's your advice to him with this deadline just a few hours away?
Well, I mean, he's had a hard time getting this kind of cash because bonding companies, look at this and they see politics all over it. And most of them don't have that much cash on hand, which they have to do if they're a bond company in order to meet the bond. But the bond is absurd. There's no reason that it should be that high. Donald Trump is not a flight risk. My gosh, he's surrounded by Secret Service agents. Do they honestly think he's going to get on a plane and fly off to some Caribbean island somewhere? This is insanity. It's punitive, and Americans aren't stupid. They look at this, and it's why I think it's probably helping Donald Trump politically. So the more that they try to go after him on these ridiculous charges, frankly, the stronger he gets. And the more Americans are saying, if they can do this to Donald Trump, they can and they will do this to me. We can't let it happen in America.
Yeah, and we're certainly seeing that with his fundraising efforts here. So let's set aside the specifics in former President Trump's legal battles in New York and Georgia. You're a former governor. Talk to us about what we could expect from a state attorney general's office or county DA to pursue legal action against politicians if it is warranted.
Well, if there's a crime committed, everybody ought to have to deal with it. But there's got to be a reasonable understanding that, just like it was in the case, so let's go to Virginia, where Bob McDonnell was accused of graft. He was accused of taking bribes. It turns out he goes to the Supreme Court, and in a 9-0 decision, the court overturned. By the way, the prosecutor in that case, Jack Smith, the same guy going after Trump, because it was an embarrassing case that I think everyone who looked at that said, if Bob McDonnell is guilty of what he's been accused of, 50 governors in America are all guilty of the exact same thing. So there has to be some reasonable approach to prosecuting people who have given their lives to public service. If they're dirty, get them. But if they do something that is politically unsavory to the other side, you cannot use the wheels of government to attack your opponent. You're supposed to beat them at the ballot box, not in the courtroom, because you tend to have the power of the courts, the prosecutors, and the judges. That's disgusting. It's third world banana republic stuff, and Americans ought to be repulsed and absolutely incensed by it.
Governor, let's pivot to another presidential contender, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's going to announce who his running mate is very soon, in a couple days, on Tuesday. You spoke with him recently. After talking with him, what's your sense of what he's looking for in a candidate?
Well, he didn't offer it to me, so we're able to say definitively I'm not the guy. Look, I like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I think he is a very genuinely authentic, sincere person who has deep convictions about things in this country. I saw one of his campaign videos recently, and I was just about ready to vote for him. I mean, he say what you will about his assessment of some things, whether it's vaccines or whatever. And by the way, he's not as radical on that as people have said he is. But he does have an immense sense of justice for the country and for all of its people. He has, I think, an innate understanding that America is a great country, and I like that. I'm grateful for that. And I think he has a message that, whether I agree with him on all of his political points, which I don't, but I respect him highly, and I think he has a whole lot more bringing to the table than people are giving him credit for.
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.